Most Eagle fans believe Howie Roseman is going to make another trade. The question is who's it going to be? And do you guys remember a year ago when everybody was saying Jordan Davis is a bust? Jordan Davis is a bust. Well, guess what? Jordan Davis is anything but a bust. He may be, in my opinion, the most underrated defensive player in the National Football League. Dallas still stinks. Yo, by the way, King Dingbat here. Hope everybody's having a great day. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're hanging in there. So, do you guys remember a year ago when everybody was saying, well, non-Eagle fans were saying, Jordan Davis is a bust. Jordan Davis will never be able to rush a quarterback. Jordan Davis was a wasted pick. Well, guess what? Jordan Davis is perhaps the most underrated defensive player in the National Football League. And we all know Howie Roseman is getting ready to make another move. We all can feel it. The question is where's he going to go? Well, we're going to take a look at some players that we may not be thinking of. Now, before we get into all of it, if you're new to the channel and you like the content, make sure you hit that like button. More importantly, make sure you subscribe to the most censored, the most throttled, pause, Eagles content creator in all of the internet. And if you've been subscribed for a while, I just want to thank you so much for all the support you give to me. I am the man with all the cats. I'm actually married to Catwomen. They're running around wild right now, so if you see one jump on me, I can't do nothing about it. Now, in this video, there are a few things I want to talk about. And one of them has just been really kind of annoying me the last few weeks, right? And probably because I got stuck watching a Mark Holmes video. But, you know, I'm watching this Mark Holmes video, and it was, and he was talking about Jordan Davis and Mozzie Smith and how Mozzie Smith is going to be better than Jordan Davis, and Mozzie Smith was everything that Jordan Davis wasn't. And, you know, this was coming from a guy who, before the draft, all he wanted was Jordan Davis. And I've heard nothing from him since. I've never heard from him say, you know what, that Jordan Davis is pretty good, you know. And to me, Jordan Davis is perhaps the most underrated, one of the most underrated defensive players in the entire NFL. Because Jordan Davis, it's not just how many sacks he gets or what stats he does, but it's what he does when he's on the football field. I said going into the season, one of the key guys on defense I thought would be Jordan Davis. And I thought that if Jordan Davis was good, this Eagles defense would be good. And I think so far that is proving to kind of be true, because Jordan Davis came out and he has looked great. And you see this defense is starting to get better every week. I'm really actually excited about this defense because I'm seeing a Sean Desai who's willing to adjust and not wait or not try to force guys to do what he wants to do in order to win. He'll do what it takes. And that Miami game was a big test for me, in my opinion, for Sean Desai. And he's passing with flying colors, okay? And I think a lot of it, I really do. I think a lot of what the Eagles can do is because of what they're getting from Jordan Davis. Jalen Carter is such a beast. He is such a beast, and he deserves every praise that he's getting. He is a superstar. He is a franchise-changing player. There is no question about it. And what he's doing as a rookie is really impressive. But because Jalen Carter is so good, I think oftentimes we forget about Jordan Davis. We forget about how good and how productive, not us Eagle fans, but I think national, you know, you hear the telecast and they really skip over Jordan Davis, and they'll talk about certain plays and look what Jalen Carter did here, or look at the play Fletcher Cox made. But if you really look at what helped it, it was Jordan Davis taking on 2 blocks, getting a man picking him up and throwing him like a rag doll like he ain't nothing. Jordan Davis has been, in my opinion, a all-pro. He's an all-pro defensive tackle. And I'll go as far to say this. not only will the Eagles in the future have the best defensive tackle duo for years to come, they have it now. They have it now. I mean, Jordan Davis, the guy has been tremendous. He's got 6 solo tackles, which is all right, but he's got 2.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. And if Jordan Davis gives you anywhere from 5 to 6 sacks a year, he's a beast. He has drastically improved his pass rush, and I think he deserves a lot of credit. He really does. He has been very important to us, and and it's unfortunate that it looks like right now he's on the injury report. Now I'll get into the final injury report later on today when we release the preview prediction video for the Eagles versus Washington. But yesterday, James Bradbury, Cunningham, Davis, and Milton Williams were all limited in practice. Jordan Davis has a hamstring, so hopefully he'll be okay. Hopefully the big man will be able to play because we need him. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, in my opinion, is one of the keys to why this defense has really turned it around, and he deserves a lot of credit, you know. And the whole defense is really interesting right now. We're finding out that Sidney Brown and Eli Ricks are both getting time to learn to play in the slot. So that's what they want to do with Byard coming in. Let Sidney Brown get some reps in the slot. Let Eli Ricks get some reps in the slot. And I have not talked enough about Eli Ricks. Eli Ricks, in my opinion, give him the slot. Just give it to him the rest of the year. And I want Sidney Brown in there playing too. Don't get me wrong. But Eli Ricks, what he did to TYREEK Hill last week, in the few snaps he got to play against him, I thought were tremendous. What I like about Eli Ricks is he's not afraid to hit. He's not afraid to put put a little contact on the receivers. How many times do you see Bradbury get right up there at the line of scrimmage, looking like he's going to press TYREEK Hill and then just back off of it? Eli Ricks was a lot more physical. So I really like the idea and what they're doing with him. It's going to be fun watching Eli Ricks develop during this year, because I think he's going to play a really, really big part. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, because as you guys know, we got this game this week, and then next week we got the trade deadline coming up. We've already made the big trade we had to. The trade that we needed to make, we made. So now everything else is pretty much gravy. And it's interesting trying to figure out, what would the Eagles do? Who will the Eagles go out and get? I said yesterday in my video that I thought safety, they were done, and I thought wide receiver, they were done. But then I started thinking about the wide receiver last night. I'm sitting in bed thinking about it. I was like, all right, listen, baby, we'll make babies in a couple minutes, but first I got to think about what the Eagles are going to do at the trade deadline. And she was just looking at me weird like I'm crazy, which I am, but it is what it is. But I was thinking, are we sure, and I'm just saying this, are we sure that we're good at wide receiver? Are we positive? Because I said yesterday I thought we were done at receiver. I'm thinking about it. Quez Watkins is going to come back at some point. We don't know how long his hamstring is going to carry on. Could the Eagles look at a guy like a Jerry Jeudy and want to go out and get him? Or even better yet, what if they could land Marquise Brown? Hollywood Brown, apparently, there's a very good possibility he will be traded. Now, he does have, I think his cap number was like $13 million this year. But by now that's going to be about half. So the Eagles probably would have to work the money out and stuff. And, Howie Roseman, that's what he does. So we'll let him do it. But Marquise Brown, just from the type of player he is he a guy that would be worth coming in? That way you have a big physical receiver in Julio Jones that you bring in, but now you have that speed guy between the 20s. Now a lot of people like Oz and they think he's good enough. I like Oz, but he doesn't have the speed a Marquise Brown has. And if he's going to get traded and you could bring him in and add that speed and that dimension to the Eagles offense, it could be really intriguing, especially when you put Brown on the outside. You can move A.J. Brown or Devontae in the slot. There's so much you can do there, So I think he's a guy that could be one of those sneaky moves where you're like, whoa, I didn't see that coming, you know? And that's what I was trying to think about. What would Howie do that we're not thinking of? And I mean, Brown this year, he's got 32 catches, 383 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He's averaging 12 yards a carry, or 12 yards a catch. He's their #1 receiver, and it looks like he's going to be on his way out. If you brought him in and he became your 3rd receiver, okay, just think about this. You get him, you get Julio Jones. Those are your 3 and 4. You could keep Oz on the roster, and then Quez, you just keep him on the IR the rest of the year unless you can trade him. You could trade Quez Watkins and Derek Barnett, because obviously those are the 2 guys that I think have to go. But Marquise Brown would be a very interesting guy if the Eagles got, because he would add a element of speed that I think you're lacking from not having Quez Watkins. Because remember, when you had healthy Quez early in the season last year and it was Brown, Smith, and then Quez with his speed, that was brutal. If you could add somebody with that kind of speed, which Hollywood Brown has, that could be a really interesting dynamic on your offense. And then, like in the red zone, you put Julio Jones in there more, 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 5s. You know, that's the perfect spot for Julio Jones to come in there as a 3rd wide receiver. It's just something to think about. Now, the reason I bring up Hollywood Brown is because I'm trying to think about guys that maybe we haven't talked about, that we're overlooking as to guys that Howie could potentially go out and get. Sporting News did an article, and they talked about the 13 most likely players to be traded at the trade deadline. Now, most of them were guys that we have talked plenty about, but Marquise Brown, he was a guy, and then you had Garrett Bollles from the Denver Broncos, the offensive tackle. I thought he was another interesting name to go out and possibly get. Now, why would the Eagles want to go out and get another offensive tackle? 2 reasons, I think. 1, you can never have enough depth, right? And if he can play multiple positions, that may be a really good thing for the Eagles. Plus, I am a believer in sometimes grabbing a guy to prevent a rival from getting him. If I could keep another offensive tackle off of the 49ers roster who are banged up at tackle, or let's say Dallas, or let's say the Detroit Lions, if you could keep a player away from them and not give up too much, sometimes that's beneficial for you. So a guy like Garrett Bollles could be a very interesting guy. And like I said, Marquise Brown, and then there's one other guy that I think we should talk about, and we've talked about him in the offseason before, but we talked about Brian Burns as a pass rusher. Daniel Hunter would be another very interesting name for the Eagles. He's a good pass rusher. He's under 30 years old, and like I say, the Eagles can never have enough pass rushers. So he's somebody to definitely look out and watch, because those are 3 names right there that we haven't talked about a lot, that if Howie Roseman could pull a trigger, they all could benefit us one way or the other. Howie's going to do something. I just don't know what it is. I don't think any of us do, but I think we all feel like it's coming. With that said, I will have my preview prediction video out later today. Take care. Talk to you later. Of course, don't be a dingbat. Remember, it's Howie Vision. We're all just living in it.
I'm going to say that Mozzie Smith is going to have a better career than Jordan Davis. Yeah, I said that. I'm putting it out there to the universe. And I'm going to say, for a couple of reasons, that I think he's going to be better. One, he's got one hellacious coach. And to me, there's a big void for the Dallas Cowboys that you need somebody to step into that breach and to be able to be that guy. Two, the players that are around him are going to help make that guy a lot better. See, here's the thing. Jordan Davis, coming from the Georgia Bulldogs, which literally had elite talent at every position, sometimes you look better because of all the people that are around you than you do when you're on a lesser team. It's one of the reasons why a lot of times you'll see a guy who looked like he was an absolute positive beast in college, who went to a big school that has other guys on that same, side of the field that are drafted into the pros. Well, they're a big fish in a little pond. Thing is when you go to the NFL, you sometimes are now, not sometimes, you are now the little fish in the big pond. And it's different because now you're playing against elite players all over the place. And you may not have that supporting cast that you had. And sometimes guys that are great players on lesser squads become better players than the great ones on a great squad. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and bet on Mazi Smith.
Oh, God. No. I want to be like the Eagles.